My name is Adeola Kingsley-James. I'm a life giver, a kingmaker, and a love being. The last title was added recently when I met a new friend of mine who said he'd never met anybody who loved like me, and I love that title. Now, has it always been like this? No. So let me tell you a little story. As a child, I didn't feel loved. You would ask why. I didn't fit in anywhere. I was a middle child. Not the first, not the last, and not the only boy. So I felt completely out of place, and I felt that nobody loved me. So I became a rebel. Now, one of the parts that children play is being the rebel. However, there are three other parts: the brilliant part, the carer part, and the sickly child. Now, I realized that when I was naughty, my parents that didn't have time for me now began to have time for me. And so I was extremely naughty and rebellious. Everything they asked me to do, I did the opposite of. And so I butted heads a lot with my parents. I stole, I lied, I ran away from school a lot of times. I hung out with all the wrong people. I was just fortunate that I was never raped as a child because I spent a lot of time with boys. Now, my father would beat me for days because he thought that that was the only answer to his problem. However, he didn't know that he was losing me steadily by the day. At some point, I asked him if he was my real father because of the pain that he would inflict on me. At some point also, I became the target audience for some of the other people in my family to show that they could inflict better pain on me. That was the kind of child I was. Now, what did it do to me? It hardened me more and more. Now, I grew up believing that I could do no good, be no good, and I felt like I was going to be a nobody. I was that black sheep of the family. Now, we all desire connections as human beings, and it wasn't different in my own case. So what happened? I realized that whenever I cared for people and I dropped myself, people gave me the attention that I desired and I felt like I deserved. So I became Voltron. I became Jesus' younger sister. I became an empath, a savior, and I wanted to save everybody because now, Voltron, defender of the universe. I faced a lot of battles of feeling unwanted, unseen, not knowing who I was, what I was on earth for. You know that thing they call purpose? I didn't know what it was and I didn't know what it meant. I didn't even know if I had any. As a savior, remember? I married a widower who was a great friend of mine for years. But loving him was not enough. Okay? I went through a lot emotionally because my husband and I didn't align on so many things. Our ideologies were different. I was lost, alone, and I sunk further into depression. I compared myself to the late wife. I didn't feel like I had any space in his heart, for they were in love when she died. And so if she was alive, I never would have existed. At least this is how I felt. And so I felt once again misplaced and unloved. My child was barely 3 years old, and one day she walked into my room and said, "Mommy, are you happy or are you sad?" And I said, "I'm happy to see you." And she said, "Then why are you crying?" I said, "Because I'm happy to see you." But then I promised myself that I will never find myself in that place again where she'll come and meet me and I'll be such in a bad state. I knew I needed help because I couldn't do it on my own. And so I started therapy on myself. I wanted to know why I was showing up the way I was showing up. And I was led to a particular therapy called rapid transformational therapy. Now, this showed me why I felt unloved. In one of my hypnotherapy sessions, I saw myself in my mother's womb and my mother was wishing I was a boy. Poof, right? This immediately empowered me that I came into this world already feeling unloved. I finally figured out why I was showing up the way I was showing up, and everything changed for me. I decided I didn't want to keep all these goodies of beautiful life to myself. I must have gone through all my experiences to help others who didn't have the same opportunities. And so I went and trained as a rapid transformational therapist myself and hypnotherapist, and I became certified. I did other courses also. I wanted to help other stepmoms navigate their blended home journeys. There was no one speaking to stepmoms at the time that I created this in Nigeria. So I thought, why not create a coaching program for people like myself? I felt alive for the first time in my life. And then fear gripped me. No one was supporting anything I was doing in my house. I started getting complaints from my husband and my family members, but they didn't understand this new me and the new zest and what I was listening to or reading or studying and this person that I become. My mom at some point felt I was studying too much. Hypnotherapy, they said. Is that not demonic? How can a good Christian do such work? And so I got afraid. What if this man leaves me? I thought. What if I get too successful and become so unreachable or proud? And so I started to self-sabotage. One day, I thought to myself, if anyone gets up and leaves me, then they're not meant to be part of my journey. And then I gained immediate freedom. I worked with the greats, Tony Robbins, Lisa Nichols, Dean Graziosi, Anthony DiMello, Wayne Dyer, Marissa Peer, Bob Proctor, and the list goes on and on. And guess what? The same people who shouted now started to warm up to me and become my clients. The same woman who felt like nothing, who said I was a nobody, that same woman is the same woman people are now paying to watch as she speaks to people. That same woman is the same woman that people are asking to come and train their staff and help come out of misery and depression and anxiety. That same woman is now a certified transformational therapist and hypnotherapist, author, global speaker, thought leader, trainer, consultant, television genius, and the list goes on. And the best part is that I'm receiving my flowers whilst on earth. So my leadership philosophy is that I've created the person that I've chosen to show up in the world as. This is my new identity. I am air. I give people a reason to live and love. I am light. I bring clarity and understanding. I'm unconditional love. I love because it's who I am. And I'm an example on earth that God exists. I live predominantly from a place of peace. I'm committed to being a better version of myself daily, competing with no one. Join the right tribe or community for you that will take you to where you desire to get to. If you spend time with 4 foolish people, you'll be the 5th one. And if you spend time with 4 wise people, you would also be the 5th one. So choose wisely. Leaders must always leave people with a sense of increase. They must be secure and confident within themselves. Leaders must have the right attitude, a positive one that lifts people up and sees only the good in people all the time. Finally, a leader must have clear goals of what he wants, for without this, he's like a ship with no destination. My mission on earth is to raise 10 billion wholesome, happy human beings all over the world, starting with you. I have been through everything in my life so that I can help others grow, learn, and be better people. So I'm extremely grateful for all the experiences in my past and still to come. I want to be remembered as the woman whose growth was non-negotiable, a woman who had fun, played, touched lives. I want to be remembered for my obedience to God and living my purpose on earth to the fullest. I also want to be remembered as a woman who was very wise and very childlike at heart. Now remember, this is my closing. Never let anyone tell you who you can or can't be, because most of the times it's not true. You can be anything you choose to be as long as you are ready to put in the work to become it. I want to be remembered for my obedience to God and living my purpose on earth to the fullest. I also want to be remembered as a woman who was very wise and very childlike at heart. Now remember, this is my closing. Never let anyone tell you who you can or can't be, because most of the times it's not true. You can be anything you choose to be as long as you are ready to put in the work to become it. I was that child that no one ever prayed for. But look at me now. I am that child that every parent prays to have and call their own. Are you doing all it takes to share your greatness in and with the world? Or are you giving excuses to play and stay small? So the first thing you must do to be a leader is make a decision. You have to make a decision as to who you want to be before you can become it. Second, you need to stay in constant action, doing. The bridge between where you are and where you need to get to is that word, action. And finally, discipleship. You need a community of people to get you to where you choose and you desire to be. So get up today and be great. It is your birthright, and the truth is, nothing can stop you but you.
We are the champions. Shaping history. We are the heroes.